Good afternoon. Namaskara. So thank you for your patience. So we have an interesting session too. So my name is Srinivas Varadarajan. I am the CEO and co-founder of Vigyan Labs. So I'll be moderating this session. We have a panel of eminent speakers for this session. So this session we are going to talk about business case for ESG accounting, growth, risk and compliance. We'll have eminent speakers who talk about the ESG process, the metrics, but we also talk about case studies where we talk about how ESG can be implemented in various industries, small, medium and large enterprises, and we'll walk you through the journey. So I'd like to welcome on board Mr. Anand Kulkarni, Technical Director ESG at KPMG. Next, I have to welcome Mr. Rakesh KN, General Manager PV Projects, Power Energy. Next, I would like to welcome Ravi Ganapati, Regional Director ESG Solutions, GovEva. Next, I would welcome Mr. Rohit Chasta, Deputy General Manager, Sustainability Business, Schneider Electric India Private Limited. Next, I will welcome Ms. Madhya Rais, Manager HSC TPM Automotive Axles Limited. So the first session presentation is from Mr. Anand Kulkarni. I'll just give a quick intro about Mr. Anand Kulkarni. Anand is a technical director in the ESG practice of KPMG India. He is a versatile ESG professional with close to 30 years of experience in ESG strategy, ESG advisory and independent assurance, climate change and GHG accounting. So Mr. Anand is well versed with Indian and global ESG reporting frameworks, SEBI, PRSR, GRI, integrated reporting and so on. So he is a qualified and experienced lead auditor on various management standards such as ISO 9001, 14001, 45001, ISO 14064, and was a validator and verifier for emission trading under CDM mechanism. He is also a trainer on GRI sustainability reporting standards, SEBI BRSR. He is a speaker at various forums on corporate sustainability and academics too. So throughout his career, Anand has worked in various corporates, government agencies and investors across various sectors. Anand has a postgraduate in environmental science from IIT Mumbai and holds a diploma in industrial safety. He is a fellow and chartered engineer of Institute of Engineers and life member of Central Industrial Hygiene Association of India. He is also a member of the Environmental Social Panel CI in Karnataka. I request all of you to give him a big hand. Over to you, Mr. Anand. Yeah.
Connecting is a little tricky, but then I'll try. Otherwise, we'll have to do it. Let's straight down the thing. Bandelan, we'll have to do it on
No problem.
on this one.
Let's change it. No problem. I'll manage it. Good afternoon. Well, I think all of us know that post lunch is always challenging and tumba chili there. So I hope that doesn't affect. But at the same time, I'm also aware that we have, time is a constraint, having delayed by more than an hour. So I would just keep my discussion focus. And before I start, I think first and foremost is I would like to thank CII and JSS Institutes for this opportunity. In fact, I have a very special relationship with SJC. That was probably one of my first projects in my career where I started, where I got to work with SJC and Professor Halappa Gowda was here. I got to work under his guidance on one of a very unique project. That's where the memories go back, and that's when I had come here somewhere in 94, 95 during that time. So thank you SJC, thanks to, I will also like to mention here to all the students from SJC here that you are probably in the right hands, and certainly there is a lot to learn from the institute that you are at. Well, I think just moving forward and coming to the specific topic. So since morning there has been a lot of discussion about how organizations are preparing themselves, or rather they are acting, not about just preparing, but they are acting, and it's been driven by various factors. The fact of the matter is that we are all part of the ecosystem. When I say ecosystem, the business ecosystem, and it's something what is driving you, whatever actions you take, be it in terms of economic, be it in terms of your social or environmental aspects. It's what your customer wants, or it's what the regulator is forcing you to do. Primarily these two, and when I say customer, of course, customer could be the direct business entities or could be the end consumers. So this is where now when we are looking at within these two or three key stakeholders, the regulator is the most, a stakeholder who is not impacted by you, but who can impact you, and you have no choice but to comply with them. So what does this regulator want? And in that context, what SEBI BRSR comes into picture. Many of you might be aware of, but when you look at this, it's not just in India, but of course, being in the Indian context, SEBI becomes most important. There are globally, this is something being driven under different regulations, different frameworks, and across the world, there are almost 130 stock exchanges. Regulator means market regulator, if I talk about that, who are part of something called as Sustainable Stock Exchange Initiative. And they are asking for organizations to make their commitments, disclose how they are generating their revenue and profits. And that's where these different frameworks come in, or different kinds of disclosures come into picture. So some of these, like what you can see here, right, starting from GRI, which is the most widely used framework. You also have another, that is the ESRS, coming in from the EU. And again, you have ISSB, which is coming in from the International Financial Regulatory Standards body, and then various other standards coming in. There you also see what is the SEBI's BRSR requirement. Now, why all this is important? It's important because you are part of the ecosystem, as I just mentioned, whether you like it or not, and of course, all of those who are into the business would certainly like to move up the scale. So when you are looking at moving up the scale, be it locally with your client base or be globally, and your clients are also part of the again the supply chain. So these regulations or these kind of frameworks demand, I'm not even saying expect, they demand you to disclose on what you are, how you are performing, or what kind of commitments and performance you have. So now in the context of SEBI, there are, of course, we did talk about EcoVadis, for example. Now EcoVadis is something again being driven by the customers. EcoVadis is a platform which most of the companies who have large number of suppliers, and they themselves cannot really do it, the assessment of their suppliers, or to carry out all the evaluation of their suppliers, but they have a commitment, or rather they have a requirement to undertake this assessment as part of being part of certain regulatory requirements in their region. They take help of EcoVadis system. So in India, we look into the previous session, and Infosys for that matter, when we talk about Suresh was talking about 350 wind, there's some of their suppliers, they have gone ahead, or various other, even for that matter Volvo and others. So they are taking help of EcoVadis platform, so that once you are assessed there through EcoVadis, you get to use that. Even you can also use this for your subsequent customers as well. So it's a global assessment. But coming back to SEBI BRSR, when SEBI mandated this for the top 1000 listed companies onto the stock exchanges, what did they say? They said that if you are amongst the top 1000 companies, you mandatorily need to disclose on your ESG performance under this environmental, social, and governance aspect. That's fine. That's one part of it. It's about your own organization, and this framework. It's no way. It's not a child's play. It has almost 145 different disclosures to be made. So as you can see, this I'm just talking about 145 different questions or disclosures, but a whole lot of data comes into picture in this. How do you really manage that? Are you first of all part of this 1000? It's not that when this was mandated, it was meant to be for those 1000. While right now it is for the 1000, and it might, in fact, this journey itself is something very interesting. When SEBI started this earlier in the form of ERR, it was for top 100 companies, moved on to top 500 and then top 1000. Very quickly it moved on within just 2 to 3 years. But now here, when this is for top 1000, what they have done, they have now also said that you also need to disclose about your value chain partners. So in a way, even if you are not listed, even if you are not amongst the top 1000, you might still have to disclose about your ESG performance, because you are part of the value chain of someone who is listed with whom you are doing business. So that's where the glide path SEBI had kind of defined, and what it has mandated is that from next financial year, it was something which was for this financial year, but from next financial year, the top 250 companies amongst these top 1000 companies need to start disclosing on the ESG performance of their value chain partners. Now, how are these companies going to do that? If they need to do that, ultimately they are going to depend on all the value chain partners who are maybe MSMEs or who might be larger setups as well, who are listed, but then still they are going to ask this data, and they are asking this data, as you could probably hear also from the earlier speakers. And what kind of data are they required to disclose? So it's not just about disclosure again here. Subsequent year, just now we are talking about FY 26, 27, but the subsequent year they also need to get an external independent assurance on whatever data is being reported. So reliability, accuracy, and acceptance of that data is also something which is going to be critical. So that's where the challenge comes, because first and foremost, unlike the financial numbers and statistics or the data that companies are used to reporting, and there is a very well established again system for decades across the world how to report on financial data, the ESG data is something new. It is just about few decades for that matter, one can say. So this is not something which companies or businesses are used to, that they have the background about how to report or what to report rather, first of all, to understand. So a whole lot of handholding is required, a whole lot of understanding and creating systems to capture this data is something what is required. I know that this projector is giving us a little bit of a challenge, but let me just continue. So what happens that when SEBI has mandated this and you are part of, you are bringing it to your attention, being MSMEs, being part of this value chain of larger companies. Suppose you are supplying to whether say any Tata Group companies, or say even for that matter Brigade being part of in the earlier conversation we were talking about. So when it comes to that and you are in their supply chain, that company is going to ask you the data, and they need to disclose on what is the BRSR core requirements. With respect to that, they need to disclose on their value chain partners as well, while they have to disclose on their own performance. And what does it cover? So in terms of the coverage, as a company, as a supplier, if you have your business with your customer is more than 2% of their overall procurement, you come under the bracket of their value chain partners whose data they need to report on. So again, you need to really be sure that where do you lie, and whether your clients would be specifying you that they are going to ask for this data. They are themselves not very sure, because again the transactions that take place, those would keep on increasing and keep on changing. But the most important part is you need to be prepared for that from the MSME's perspective or the value chain partners perspective. And overall, it is about all those suppliers or value chain partners who form 75% of the overall procurement budget of the companies. So you will see that there is a good chance for many of the companies to be part of this mandatory reporting requirement. Now, from what do they need to, who all could be the part of this supply chain? So these include your upstream suppliers, which essentially you can look at it as the raw material suppliers or the component suppliers, or in terms of even the transportation and other services providers. Similarly, onto the downstream side, they also become part of this value chain partners. There it could be the dealers, or it could be the downstream transportation as well, or warehousing and other services provider. So all these are part of the value chain, and if you are in any of these businesses, which either in the upstream or downstream, you would need to disclose on the data. So what's that the data that one needs to or one might be asked for, and one need to report upon? As I said that SEBI has left it to the reporting organization to define which data they are going to cover in their value chain partners reporting amongst the BRSR core. But there are 9 attributes, what SEBI calls, against which the BRSR core data is to be reported. Out of these 9, the four most important, which are relevant for any organization, comes in one from energy, the another from the GHG or greenhouse gas emissions, which are both interlinked, of course, and then the water and waste data. Now, it's not just like the total volume that you need to report about all of this. So the real challenge comes in over there. When we talk about this, or when you are being asked to report on this data, it's about your scope 1, scope 2 emissions from the GHG perspective. And those of you who are familiar with these terminologies, by now most of those who are into the aware of ESG are also very much aware about what is scope 1 and scope 2 emissions. But just quickly, so when we look at these greenhouse gas emissions, and which is your emissions form part of the scope 3 emissions of these larger companies, that's where this pressure comes onto them. That's where they need to act upon as well, because almost 60 to 70% of any organization's footprint lies in their value chain partners or in their supply chain. So herein, your scope 1 and scope 2 emissions, that is your electricity consumption, your fuel consumption, related emissions, all these are something which are going to be accounted for. When you start looking into these data or the sources of this data, you need to be able to capture the data with respect to the types of fuels that you have, the volume of these fuels, be it the HSD, be it the petrol, be it the LPG, be it any kind of fuel that you are using. That, on the other hand, you and of course coal and various other things coming into picture. On the other hand, if your electricity consumption. Now, is it just the data by itself in totality? But it's not so. It's also the conversion of that into emissions in terms of calculation of the greenhouse gases emission that comes into picture. So, are you aware of that? How this data is going to get calculated? Are you going to do that calculation? If you are going to do that, how correct it is? That's where it's important that you have in place a system to not only capture the data, but also in terms of converting it into the greenhouse gas emissions related numbers. That's the first part with respect to the emissions. The second part, which is with the basic energy by itself. When I say basic energy, of course I'm including here electricity as well. We all know that the typical challenges, practical challenges that all of us face, as simple as the billing cycle. When KDCL or any of the power supply, government power supply, they don't bill you exactly on the same cycle, and the data that you need to really capture, whether you would be able to get it, you may not even sometimes get the bills by itself for months. Sometimes it gets delayed. So how do you convert it? Are you going to extrapolate this data? How are you going to calculate this data or consider these numbers? Are you going to make any estimates? These are all the factors the reporting organizations, particularly given the fact that MSMEs are part of these value chain partners, they would need to consider, and they need to have again these monitoring mechanisms. So the monitoring tools that are coming in, for example, the flow meters for whether your fuel or with respect to water, what's the accuracy of these flow meters? What's the the quality of the data which is being captured? How is this going to be correct and reliable, or accurate and reliable? Because ultimately it's your customer who is going to report on that as a sum total of their value chain partners. So these are some of the factors that the value chain partners or the MSMEs, I'm just coming back again and again over here, because MSMEs form a large chunk of value chain partners here, I would assume. The third part, which is often, or rather, it's not business as usual for most of the companies. Even the larger companies, I would say, given the experience I have had in conducting these assurances and advising my clients, is with respect to waste. How many of us really measure the waste generated in our organization? I'm talking about organization. Forget about at individual level. What all that we measure is essentially what is being sold, what we are giving it to the scrap dealer, or because of the regulation with respect to hazardous waste, what is being sent out to the third-party hazardous waste agency. That's the kind of data what we have. But again, is it weighed? Is it actually measured? Do we have a reliable system for capturing this data? Or again, as it was being mentioned in earlier session, is there any kind of an automation, automatic data logging? These are the challenges which you need to take into consideration, more so when the data to be reported is under different categories. For example, when SEBI asks for, and this is all everything flowing in from the SEBI requirements, that when you report on or you need to report on the waste generation, it is the non-hazardous waste also to be reported under different categories. Or to report on plastic waste generation, e-waste generation, biomedical, C&D, construction and demolition waste, battery waste. These are the different categories under which you need to report. Now this data, currently most organizations don't have mechanism to capture. Plastic waste, what would you consider? Do you really weigh it, or we are talking about generation, the difference between weigh, generation and disposal. So next point of, even the next point which comes into picture in terms of reporting is in terms of the volume of waste disposed. The volume of waste generated versus the volume of waste disposed, these are two different things. But most of the organizations do not have, because it's not been so far anywhere as a mandatory condition to have a separate weighment system for that. As much as you would have an electricity meter for your power consumption, or for that matter, the water flow meter. So these are the challenges which organizations now need to prepare for, and these are the aspects that the larger companies who are mandated to report on their value chain partners, they would be asking this data, mandating this data to be reported by their value chain partners. So how do you then deal with this? That's where there is a need for putting in place the systems and tools that comes into picture. As I was just mentioning, in terms of one is automatic data logging. To what extent, in which area this can be done? Of course, there are separate, various systems, particularly with respect to SAP, in terms of your, say, energy or energy data, particularly your fuel, electricity, etc., or from the ERP systems that organizations do have, where the direct data can be captured. But that doesn't provide for conversion. So again, the conversion is another factor. Not all type of material or waste gets captured over there, particularly when it comes to the waste. So do you really need to look at automatic data capture systems to be put in place? And secondly, that brought into a tool to prepare a dashboard in line with different reporting requirements. Because ultimately the data has to go in a particular template and format in which the user or the the organization that is seeking this data is going to ask these numbers to be reported. So that's where the role of the ESG tools come into picture. All right. Okay. We can just keep moving if you can assist me, please. Yeah. So I just mentioned about this, and I was little fast, I know that, but then with the intent that what are these parameters, and of course managing this time. So as you just saw, we can just keep moving in terms of different sources of fuel or power by itself, and the waste categories of waste. If you just move here, I was just mentioning that you need to capture the data with respect to plastic, with respect to e-waste, biomedical waste, construction and demolition, battery, radioactive waste, other non-hazardous waste, and also the hazardous waste by itself which is being generated. So these are the kind of data points that normally so far in business as usual cases were not being captured or are not being captured, if I may even dare to say so, that organizations now need to prepare and start capturing. And the most helpful, I would say, tool for that is to start applying or using certain digital tools. I'm sure you would be able to get able to hear something more from my next speaker as well. So, what kind of benefits these tools provide? Of course, the most important part the tools provide is in terms of the cost effectiveness, the efforts, rather I would put it in that way, because capturing this data, collating the data, having internal quality controls, all this becomes a big challenge, and you can never be sure about it. So the efforts being spent, which essentially means the time and the energy and the cost being spent towards that gets optimized or minimized. On the other hand, the flexibility the tools provide, also the reporting, as I said, the same tool can help you in terms of reporting on different frameworks, and also the reliability of the data as it improves. The decision making of the management based on this data can become faster, because ultimately it's what you monitor that you can improve. So just maybe quickly to touch upon, we can just move further. This is the kind of some dashboards. I'm sure you will get to hear more about it in the subsequent, but that's the kind of, if you have tools in place and if you can capture this data in a manner in which these reporting frameworks require, then you can start generating this kind of dashboards. That is where the tools help when consulting firms like KPMG, or for that matter various other tech consulting firms, they have also developed various technology platforms, and those platforms help you capture. I think the last similarly here, as you can say, with respect to water and wastewater, again a breakup of the data as you can report. So these are the kind of uses of any tool that can help you in terms of meeting the requirements of your customers, because it's not just the numbers. The moment you see that you are only sharing the Excel sheets, the credibility or the acceptance level of that data goes down. For the first question that the client is going to ask you, or anybody is going to ask you, is why should I accept this data? So that's where a kind of automation and everything helps. So I think I will just stop here. Just maybe if you could, while all of us know yesterday was the Earth Day, I would also like to use this opportunity. Of course, all of us know that Pope Francis, he passed away a day before yesterday, and I just happened to, I like to read every day morning newspaper, so I just read this Sacred Space in Times of India, and incidentally his quote, which I found very relevant in this context as well, in the context of the Earth Day. I would just like to quote that we must not be indifferent to or resign to the loss of biodiversity and the destruction of ecosystems, often caused by our own irresponsible and selfish behavior. Because of us, thousands of species will no longer give glory to God. We have no such right. You are in such a beautiful campus, Manas Gangotri. I love coming here, and I also was just looking at the brochure of the institute. If you look at it, the first line that it talks about is the lush green campus with varieties of many rare trees and species. I'm not talking about the human species. but the biodiversity here. So you must be proud of it, and I'm sure ESG starts from right from where you are. Thank you so much. Thanks for question.
Thank you, Mr. Anand, for keeping the audience spellbound for your very interesting session. The next session is, the topic is powering Indian enterprise with rooftop solar. The speaker is Mr. Rakesh Haran, he is General Manager PV Projects Orb Energy. Just tell you brief about Mr. Rakesh. Rakesh is an electrical engineer with about 16 years of experience in the renewable energy space. He is both technical and commercial side of the business. He has an amazing passion for renewable energy, and with his endeavor, he has executed more than 30 megawatt worth of solar projects. So now over to you, Rakesh, to tell your journey of rooftop solar.
Good afternoon, Namaskar Ellarigu. So my presentation is more on the display, and I don't want to bore you people, so we have few videos to show few case studies that we have installed in around Mysore and Bangalore, so that it is for the industries how they save energy and all. So ESG, sustainability, renewable energy. Orb Energy is a renewable energy company. We manufacture solar modules, and also we set up solar plants for industries, commercial and residential segments. And till day, if you see, we have installed about 13,000 plus installations for C&I customers, and which is around 300 plus megawatt in Bangalore, and it's an MNC company based out of Bangalore. So we can see a case study once the laptop is connected. So just for knowledge sharing, solar, how it helps basically, if any industry installs 100 kilowatt of solar, so system can generate about 400 units per day. That is almost equivalent to 320 kgs of carbon dioxide emission. So to generate same amount of energy from fossil fuels, they have to burn around 1 ton of coal. So that is huge. So that way, every day with a small capacity of solar plant like 100 kilowatt for one small industry or institution, it can be installed. We can save lots of carbon dioxide emitting to the nature. So that way, it would help for sustainability, for reducing the usage of fossil fuels, and that would also give a part from our side to the nature. Tell what? So okay, till they connect, can we know how many industries are here who have not installed solar? Because Volvo, the presenter who had earlier, we have installed for them. We have done for multiple companies who had come and presented here today. So can we understand, like, can we see any of the industries who are not installed solar, and so that we can discuss how much they can save? ಬೇರೆ ಲ್ಯಾಪ್ಟಾಪ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. Industries? Any industries? Small, medium?
Yeah, just a question. For 10 kilowatt, what is the space required, and what is the investment required, and how much carbon you can produce?
Okay. For general information, 1 kilowatt requires 100 square feet roof area. So 10 kilowatt is around 1000 square feet. So every kilowatt can generate around 4 units. So around 40 units can be generated per day. So thumb rule, 0.8 kg carbon dioxide can be reduced for every unit generated. So 40 into 0.8, around 40 kgs per day can be reduced approximately. Sorry? Yeah. Okay, sorry for the delay. So still the laptop is not collected. So we would only show, the case studies can't be shown, so just we'll walk through the slides that we have. So coming back to the solar renewable energy, so if you see any industry, so when you have to reduce your carbon footprint, how to do it. So I have a very small topic, solar renewable energy, that you can install and straight away you can reduce your bills. So the policies that is coming from the government segments is you can go for net metering, that would reduce the electricity bills. You can have your depreciation claimed. You can have the GST inputs taken. So all these things saves for a company industries who are installing solar rooftop, and people who do not have space, who have huge requirements of power, how to uh, reduce their electricity bills or have an alternative. They can install from a ground mounted projects from the solar parks or open access, like how Brigade has done. I don't know the number, some megawatts of project. Sorry? In discussion, yeah. So that way we are coming up with solar park in Gulbarga, about 50 megawatt, which is spread across 200 acres. So that would be catering for huge power requirement industries. So they would come down on their energy consumption month on month. So here the payback period for them is around 3 years. The best part is when we talk about reducing the electricity bill, or maybe pushing for the renewables, the first thing that comes into their mind is investment. So how will I invest when I have my overheads for my company expenditures? So we do fund for the projects 100%, and we set up the plant, and whatever electricity bills are paid to the ESCOMs will be converted as a EMI. So instead of paying the ESCOMs, you will be paying Orb Energy, and for certain tenure, maybe 4 years, 3 years, and you will own the plant. Payback period will be within 3 years. So this way you can reduce your carbon footprint. You can add in your now it has been mandate for most of the suppliers like Snyder and all. They are installing solar rooftop. Infosys has done huge projects on rooftop. I have, in fact, in 2012 I have worked for Infosys project in Bangalore. So like that, they have done different varieties of installations of rooftop. If we go to Infosys, so when we go and see that, so they have all types of systems, different technologies. And today the modules that has been manufactured is latest technology is TOPCon, which is with the highest efficiency. The space required is very small, so area with the smaller areas you can install more capacities.
When we go for an open access,
Yeah,
and we are not allowed to go for request.
correct. You can go for behind the meter. See, basically what happens is in Karnataka, in Andhra Pradesh, different state has different policy. So in Karnataka, if you are buying from a third party, you have an open access plant, your own captive plant, you can't have a net metering rooftop. So that it has to be behind the meter, because as such your consumption will be very high. So in such case, what happens is you will be taking the power from third party, or you will be having your own plant, and whatever is consumed, like generated on your roof, will be net off in your consumption, day-to-day activity. That's all. But every state has a different policy. That way, if you see, Karnataka has the best policy till now. Now there is no policy. We are awaiting for the policy this year, and it would still continue, net metering. If it is in kilowatt, you can go for 100%. If it is in kVA, 85%. If it is in HP, it is 0.745%. So everything has to be converted into kilowatt. If your sanction load is 10 kilowatt, you can install 100%. If a sanction load is 100 kVA, you can install 85 kilowatt. If your sanction load is 100 HP, you can install 75 kilowatt. So this is standard norms, and 1 kilowatt can generate around 4 units. So everyone now with the scheme, what PM has given with the subsidies, more and more smaller systems are being installed. But that our basically our target is around 500 gigawatt for 2030. That is for the renewable, and solar alone is 280 gigawatt, and what we have achieved is only 100 gigawatt. So there is a huge gap. So that we have to cover, and this is, as morning session also people were telling, like, because of the awareness, what is the policy that is there, how it can be benefited, people can benefit, how the industry can get their reduction in their electricity bill. That is the main thing, and the depreciation gives added advantage for them. With the investments, banks are giving at lower rate of interest. SIDBI is working at very good rates, and they are funding 100%. We are funding 100%, including GST. So, and this is a non-collateral finance. So, what happens is any fund they want to invest in their business, this won't reflect in their CIBIL. So that way, it would give a more expansion for them for doing the business. If it is a rooftop maintain captive ground mounted, it would be the company developer. We would be taking care of the entire thing. Yeah. So first slide. So back. So about Orb Energy, so we started 2006. So we have a beautiful manufacturing plant. Please visit our plant. You can see how it is manufactured. You can see how the how the modules are manufactured. And we are basically a shell Orb Energy, and we have been funded by many other funders. We are vertically integrated providers, manufacturing, finance. So that why we are explaining about our company is because to achieve your ESG goals, we provide, we have installed for many industries and have reduced their electricity bills, which is equivalent to their carbon footprint. So for this, we finance in-house, which is very much required for any industry. And we are a clear leader in rooftop and ground mounted. So ground mounted, the image that you can see is 35 megawatt ground mounted park, which is located in Arsikere. From there, we have supplied for 10 customers who have a huge requirement, and 80% of industries, like to name Shakti Precision, 80% their monthly bill is around 1 crore. So 80% of that has been coming from solar today. So from last 1.5 years, they have saved about 80 lakh rupees every month. So, and installation wise, we have done 13,000 plus C&I customers. And next slide. We have done in Hassan 3 lakh square feet single roof for an industry. This is our manufacturing plant, automated plant. Next. So this is the latest technology of modules that would be used, which is providing the high efficiency conversion from sunlight to electricity. Next. So all the certifications are there for our modules. Next. Case studies, I would like to show the images. We don't have a video that, can we play the video? No. Okay. Next. So can solar work for all the industries? Yes, it can work for any industry, any type of loads, which can be monitored in the app. So every day the app can be monitored, the generation can be monitored. So there's a small calculator backside. There's a small calculator wherein you can calculate how much carbon footprint can be reduced, how much energy can be saved for a capacity of area that you have. There are basically 3 factors that we consider. One is the rooftop area, second is the unit consumption, and third is the sanction load. So these are the 3 factors. So this calculator shows that. Next. So this is a ground mounted park. That is 35 megawatt that we have done. We own the land of 110 acres, and this is completely sold for captive consumption. Next. Yeah. So this is a Maddur plant we have installed for clean pack, 3.84 megawatt, and totally we have installed around 7.6 megawatt. 30% of their energy comes from solar. So this is one of their installations of 3 megawatt that we have done. So this Sipani fibers, we have done this in 2016, and now this year, last 1 month back, we have done another 2.5 megawatt within 1 month. Complete project, the total of 5 megawatt, which will generate around 6 lakh units. 6 lakh units is almost equivalent to 6 lakh kg of carbon dioxide that they are going to save. And also money wise, they are going to save 8 rupees per unit. Next. So this build-made fibers, it's a 1 megawatt plant. Next. So what we are trying to show is different types of industries. This is a textile industry, Baswa textile. This is Patabi Enterprises Mysore only. We have in Mysore 650 kilowatt. This Shakti Accumulator battery company that they have installed next. Kaveri Pipes, pipe manufacturers, they have installed 520 kilowatt of rooftop. Kaveri Plasto containers, tanks manufacturers, they have installed 495 kilowatt. Sai Carton, this is in Mysore. This is a carton manufacturers. Multiplex Polymer, this is in Davos Sweat NX. This pipe manufacturing, Suja Irrigation 320 kilowatt. Like this, we have beverages. This is in Davos Sweat around 220, 280. So Varsha Associates is 240 in Mysore. Like this, we have installed many cases, about 13,000 plus installations, where it has helped people reduce their carbon footprint, and also mainly power is the major thing that is required for in the industry. So that reduces their bill, reduces, so that they can pass on to their customers on their products also. So any queries, we have a stall, please, you can come and discuss more with us. So I would like to end here. Thank you. Sorry. This Sri Satya Sai Trust in Andhra Pradesh, we have done 4 megawatt. This is in Andhra Pradesh. So for all the buildings in Putpatti Satya Sai Trust, we have done the project. So like institutions, educational institution, we have done. This is in GSS, Mysore GSSS. So yeah. Video parla. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rakesh, for exciting journey on rooftop solar and how we have decarbonized a large part of our society. Thank you. The next speaker is Mr. Ravi Ganapati. His topic is digitization of sustainability journey. So what is Ravi Ganapati is a regional director ESG Solutions from GoVA Private Limited. Ravi is a seasoned ESG professional with extensive industry experience. He has worked in India and overseas markets in Oman, UAE, Korea and mainland China. As a regional director of ESG Solutions with GoEVA, he has demonstrated a strong commitment to promote ESG practices towards achieving sustainability across manufacturing sector. In his current role, Ravi leads the initiative that aligns business objectives and strategies with ESG principles, ensuring stakeholder and regulatory compliance and promoting sustainable growth. His leadership has been instrumental in driving ESG awareness and implementation. So Ravi's expertise encompasses ESG frameworks, stakeholder engagement, and development of sustainable business models. His strategic approach has contributed to successful execution of ESG projects, fostering long-term value for organizations and communities alike. Over to you, Ravi, to talk with through your ESG journey.
You don't know how to operate my platform. The platform I need to access the cloud. It's a data platform. Good afternoon to everybody. So thank you so much for your presence, your patience, and definitely a huge thanks to CII and also to Automotive Axle, and to the esteemed guest speakers, and uh, foremost this very esteemed educational institution. And I would like a special shout out to Generation Z who are there here as part of the audience. So, as a wake up call for everybody, let's give a huge round of applause to the students and the faculty of this esteemed university. So, thank you, Mr. Srinivas, and all the speakers here. Wonderful content coming out right from the beginning of the just immediately after the inauguration of this entire event. And my topic here is digitizing sustainability. So let me give that a little twist. I will say ESG path to sustainability. And everything is so dynamic. So let's talk about, or let's contemplate about which stage of the sustainability journey we are in. And I mean this for the corporates also who are here, all the companies who are here. I also look at this institution. Maybe there are a lot of wonderful sustainable practices, but is that data available? Is data available at a granular level? Is the reporting agile? So when it comes to a data platform and when it comes to data challenges within an organization, I'll just show one particular slide before getting onto the platform itself to show you exactly how a ESG platform is structured. Time is not enough to show you how it works, but I will definitely make my best attempt to show you how it is structured. So, what are the key challenges faced by organizations? So, if you see this little wheel here, hello? Can you please switch it on? Great, thanks for that. So, any company you take, which stage, of course, it depends on what stage of the ESG and sustainability journey they are in. Disparate data sources. So, there could be a factory with multiple manufacturing units in different parts of the country, in parts of the world, and each of these particular units there is data. There are warehouses. Then there is the supply chain, as the speakers before me said. So, how to bring all the data into one place? That should probably be the main focus when you are looking at an active data management initiative within organizations. Then comes the goals, the climate risk assessment. And a lot was talked about, everything 110%, 200% facts. Those are the absolute realities. So whether it is decarbonization, whether it is goal to net zero, whether it is following policies which are coming from United Nations and country-specific policies, company-specific policies, regulator policies, regulator rules. So how does what to adopt and how to manage the data. Then comes the most challenging part in today's times. Under scope 3, the supplier emissions, both upstream and downstream. We call it value chain. Nowadays, we are making the transition very actively from a supply chain to a value chain. So, what are the reporting boundaries for a value chain? What are the vendor categories? What is the specific data depending on a vendor category, right? And benchmarking vendors, against each other. So these are things which companies are looking at, manufacturers are looking at. Take any manufacturing sector, then creating values and outcomes from all this data. So cost savings, risk mitigation, agile reporting, using ESG for getting more business, especially the export business, working within the boundaries of the EU taxonomy. Then come the challenges of multiple stakeholders, both internal stakeholders, external stakeholders. So which stakeholders' opinion do we incorporate into a certain practice? So when you do a materiality assessment and you identify the material topics, which topic is contextual to which stakeholder? So it is pretty complex. But technology and data has the answers for all these things. Multiple evolving standards. Mr. Kulkarni talked about ESRS, talked about EU taxonomy, also talked about, everybody is more or less aware of BRSR and GRI. So again, the questions and disclosures within each framework, they are also continuously evolving. And enterprise-wide ESG. So in an enterprise with so many operational units, manufacturing units, warehousing, data points, how to bring that cohesion of data and then use the summaries, use the analytics for a very informed and very astute decision making. And in-house knowledge capability, the training. So I see that many of the students here are from environmental engineering, is that right? So there is theory and there is practice. And there is very, very sector specific practice in manufacturing. So Mr. Rakesh talked a lot about solar. So solar panels themselves go through a manufacturing process. And at the same time, there are a lot of emissions there also. There is water, there is waste. All that has to be managed. Saying that it has to be managed is very simple, but manage it with data so that your management is precise. So this covers the entire, more or less all the gamut of challenges for ESG. I wanted this to be a little interactive, and till such time that I open up the platform, if there are any questions, observations, experiences, please share and I'll just immediately log into the platform. It's gone. I will have to just... I'll have to enter my login credentials. Post-lunch blues, I think. Come on, some of the students.
Yeah, okay.
Hurrah, we are there. So this is a view of a ESG data platform. So at Gaviva, and in case many of you are wondering what is GovEVA, it is governance leading towards economic value add. It could also be enterprise value add, it could be eco value add, as in eco-friendly value add. So what we have done is to right fit a solution for an organization, we have made the whole thing very, very modular. So if you see these tabs here, so this is the reporting module of Gaviva, and here is where you can do framework specific reporting, or you can also do amalgamated reporting. So cross framework reporting. So you could do most of BRSR to satisfy your compliance, and to satisfy your customers, who usually are the most important of your stakeholders. You could also do, little bit of GRI. You can bring in little bit of CDP. You can bring in little bit of IFRS. So for company specific applications, we have made it framework agnostic, right? Then the heart of the software, which is how to get the data. So the most common question for companies, especially in the MSME sector, is how to get the data into the platform, how to get all the data into one place. Pretty simple. You see these two tabs here, calculators and trackers. So when you click on calculators, you get multiple data gateways, and everything is labeled as per scopes and framework specific categories and sections. So what I am showcasing you is something more aligned to BRSR. So you can click on each of these and have a view of the raw data. So this is how the raw data looks on the platform. Now to make things simple, we have covered every possible way to bring data into the platform. You could do a line by line entry and you will be assisted by all the drop down menus. You could edit the data, you could do a maker checker, sort of a standard operating procedure for which the platform will support you. And you could also upload electricity bills, and you could copy paste from Excel files which you have also, so that all the back data can come very fast into the platform. So like this, for each of these, you need to bring in the data, and most importantly, integration with data in a SAP system or any other ERP system, whether it is an Oracle based ERP system and anything. So technology today has advanced way forward in terms of data integration. So this is a quick look of how the data is to be aggregated into the platform. As I said, time is a little limited, so I'll be very happy to take questions anytime outside any session, or outside this event as well. So other functionalities of the platform are also incorporated here. Companies can do a self baseline, ESG baselining, and you could also, from that baseline, you could do a roadmap, and you could also do a materiality assessment, a double materiality assessment, to bring out a materiality matrix which looks like this. So prioritization of the material topics under external impact and internal impact on a scale of 1 to 10. So this is easily possible through Gaviva, and all the controls for everything is there in the backend. So whether you want to set up assessment questions, the question banks are already built in. You want to do like value chain configuration, the whole thing is already built in here. So very soon a company can use a platform like this, an adaptable platform. So there is a definitely some kind of parameterization required. Company to company, there will be some customization required, which we can provide. And then we are looking at ESG data management end to end in a very, very comprehensive way. With this, I would just like to take a few questions, one or two questions, and then I have other eminent speakers waiting, so please, any questions, observations, anything, any challenges which are faced?
Have you beaten the carbon estimation and the target setting as per
SBTI is definitely there as part of this, but what I am showing you is more BRSR. We will be taking metrics, and for SBTI we will be parameterizing and customizing. At the same time, our consulting and supporting team will work very, very closely with our clients. They are working as we speak very closely with our clients to help understand the brief from the client, and it will be a very brief based solution. So similarly for life cycle assessment also. So some of the data we take through our conventional data aggregation means, and then other material specific data, that is your material of construction or whatever is that specific, every industry comes with its own set of materials. So those kind of data libraries and expertise, industry expertise we take and work out the pathways. And we work with a few partners for integration. So for when it comes to offsets and those kind of parameters, we work with BNZ Green, and for sensor and source data related information, we work with a company called Digital Blanket. But we are open to working with anybody and everybody. So any observations, any questions? Because I have few other speakers here and I'd like to give them the chance.
See, in case of value chain, I mean the number of players are huge, in hundreds and 200s, yeah. So each one of them will get a user, or how is it? How do they get to?
They have to. So they'll get a magic link. So there is a two-layered process. First is the assessment to find out exactly what kind of data we need from what kind of vendor category. So that is an exercise by itself. So the questionnaires go through a magic link. And if you just follow my cursor, these are magic links here. So this will go, and there will be a central console where the entire process will be administered. And then there will have to be some follow-ups, because value chain data has become a challenge. 100% of the vendors getting all the data on a very set periodic process is a time-consuming process. It takes time. So, Mr. Vijay, you also mentioned you have started with 50. It's a fantastic beginning. So you start with 50. And sometimes we have got requests and we have also complied with that. So the company, our client, does some, through the platform, does some value chain data aggregation, assessments and data aggregation. We work collaboratively, and to meet the end objective faster, working parallelly is definitely a very good idea. I think I'm done. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hello. Thank you, Ravi, for your extensive explanation, the demonstration of the ESG tools. Our next topic is case study on Industry 4.0 in ESG. The next speaker, Mr. Rohit Chatsa, Deputy General Manager, Sustainability Business, Schneider Electric India Limited. Mr. Rohit, a sustainability leader at Schneider Electric India, has been at the forefront of various initiatives in the sustainability journey at Schneider Electric. He has been contributing to the sustainability transformation of the organization and helping drive a diverse range of activities other companies as well. So Rohit has about 11 years of experience in the industry. He holds a certified measurement and verification professional certification. He's a ISO 5001 lead auditor and a lead certified Green Association certification. Yes, his mission is to work at intersection of energy, technology, and innovation to help business and customers of Schneider Electric to become more sustainable and decarbonize themselves. He has a proven track record in research, leadership, and influence, both in government and also part of the standards committees. So, over to you, Mr. Rohit.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thankfully, we didn't have to go with another iteration of, changing of laptops and with the cord getting changed. So yeah, good to see that we are becoming more sustainable as the session is going along. Okay, so again, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Srinivas, and thank you, everyone, for your insights that you had shared. Till now, and even in the previous session and in this session as well, we have seen mostly about how various technologies are available, whether it is on the lines of reporting or digitization or solar and all those things. I'm giving a different perspective here in terms of how the implementation of these technologies or these solutions have helped us, Schneider Electric, with one of our factory as an example, how that has helped us in becoming more sustainable and becoming more decarbonized. So I think in that way it gels very well with the overall context as what the gentleman mentioned about that how these things are beneficial. I'm just giving you a perspective, a practical perspective of yes, that it works at the ground level as well. So this is what I'll be covering in the next couple of minutes in terms of how we have implemented these technologies and reaped the results out of it as well. So basically I'm talking about Schneider Electric's Hyderabad factory. Just to give you a quick insight, Schneider Electric, if you would have heard of the company. In India, we have a big footprint of around 30 manufacturing facilities or factories. One of those factories, which is in Hyderabad, was recently recognized by World Economic Forum as the Sustainability Lighthouse and for the best-in-class practices on sustainability, advanced manufacturing, Industry 4.0 that have been implemented at the factory as well. So this is basically those areas that I would be talking about in this case, and how this whole technology and digitization piece has been a strong enabler in the sustainability journey of our factory or of our organization in this case. So just to begin with, this is something I want to kind of give an overview of first. What you see on screen is Schneider Electric's net zero ambition or the net zero objectives or decarbonization objectives that we have taken. We plan to be net zero in our scope 1 and 2 operations by 2030. As a matter of fact, if you see our emission inventorization, we are majorly, it goes into the scope 3 aspect. Like while we have our whole manufacturing setup, but more than 95% of our emissions lie in the scope 3 category, while only less than 5% or even much lower than that is in the scope 1 and 2 sort of operations or scenario. But still we have an ambition to become, and we are very much on track for that, is that by 2030 Schneider Electric will be net zero in their scope 1 and 2 operations, and by 2050 a larger ambition is to be net zero in our complete value chain, which is scope 1, 2 and 3 in that particular aspect. Now when it comes to our own operations, which is the objective that we have taken to become net zero by 2030, we are talking about, okay, I think till the time this comes, okay, so we are talking about even reducing our complete end-to-end scope 1, 2, 3 emission reduction by 25% by 2030 as well. So this is something that we are kind of also targeting for our own particular operations in this piece. Now, in order to achieve these objectives, one of the example that I'm showing here is that manufacturing setup that we have in the Hyderabad region, which is basically on the lines of reducing our scope 1 and 2 emissions, and even there is an angle of reducing our scope 3 emissions, which is happening through our suppliers, and we are working on those lines as well, which I'll detail out in the next or coming slides. Now, this is what a quick overview of the Hyderabad factory is. This is about, and by the way, how many of us have heard this term called Industry 4.0? We have? Okay, so we have fairly an idea about what it is, but just in case for those who haven't, we are talking about Industry 4.0 as a technology, or we're talking about a whole sort of a framework, which is an integration of various advanced technology based on IoTs, or what you call as Internet of Things, based on AI, based on robotics. So we are combining all these things together in a manufacturing setup, and that's a very sort of a simple definition of Industry 4.0 that we can put it as. So we are combining all these things. The end objective is how we can improve our efficiency, whether it is in terms of energy use, whether it is in terms of manufacturing, whether it is in terms of optimization of resources, with that being the end objective, and of course become more sustainable and decarbonized. How we can utilize IoT, AI, and different machine learning languages, machine ML sort of technologies in this particular area. So what we are doing here is we have equipped. This is something, while the plant was started in 2006 and 2007, and currently we are like more than 2,500 people who are working in this plant. This particular aspect, and this is where it becomes a very interesting case, it's not something that we have built from a greenfield and then we kind of deployed all these technologies. It was a brownfield plant which was established in 2006-2007. In 2018, we decided to transform this plant and make it an Industry 4.0 enabled digital smart factory. And that's where we started integrating all these interventions. So in that particular time frame, if we take 2018 as the baseline, in the 4 years, we kind of equipped the whole plant with cutting edge Industry 4.0 advanced technologies, which was leveraging your real-time data, AI-powered tools, making predictive analysis and smart decision making for the processes for the operations in this particular case. And by the way, in India, it's only the second factory which has been recognized as the World Economic Forum Lighthouse for Sustainability. Overall, globally, there are only 25 factories that has got this recognition, and this is one of them. And in India, it is only the second one that has been there in this particular journey. Now, let me give you some examples of what were those projects which were implemented through which we kind of gained this recognition, and of course, turned this whole factory into a smart factory as well. So these are some of the key projects that I want to kind of mention in front of you. First one, if you talk about this whole aspect of, I think in some previous session we also talked about it, that what you don't measure or what you don't track, you can't manage that particular aspect, right? So the whole idea was that when we initially started in this whole journey, there was this whole whole piece of lack of visibility, whether it comes to energy consumption, whether it comes to production processes, whether it comes to any sort of working manufacturing lines and all those areas. So the first piece was that we want to make data visible, meaningful and actionable. So the first thing was make the whole energy management journey data driven through advanced analytics. So this was, so whether you talk about equipments like your chillers or your cooling towers or your HVAC consuming equipment, all of them, all your major energy guzzling equipment were implemented or were kind of enabled with IoTs or Internet of Things related connected assets, so that in real time we can monitor the consumption of energy in those particular equipment, which is not just the last step, but this is only the first step. So the idea was that you start monitoring things in real time and then plug the whole loop in an integrated way, so that whatever you are consuming is driven automatically through AI based analytics, and it shows you at what loading point you should be consuming, at what time of the day it's the best time to kind of run these equipment. If there are multiple equipment running, then what is the best and optimal load in terms of running the equipment. All these advanced analytics were giving those inputs, and through this the whole consumption of the equipment was happening. So it was without any or almost zero manual intervention that the equipment were running through an end-to-end control. So there's a real-time data coming into picture. There is a control algorithm which is in place, which is as per the most optimized efficiency of those equipment, and accordingly the equipment is automatically getting controlled. So this is something which was happening on a real-time basis in all the major energy consuming assets. That is the first thing that we started with in this particular area. Second thing was another area which was very sort of a high energy consuming area besides the cooling aspect, was your compressors. So you had air compressors we had air compressors in the facility, and that was one of the other major guzzling load in terms of energy which was there. And we had a lot of issues in terms of air leakages or the pipelines not being optimized as per the substandard or as per the most optimized level. Again, the whole aspect of these compressors were connected all together with an equalizer and with a real-time monitoring system. So the idea was that if there are 10 compressors running, what is the best? So maybe if there are any electrical or mechanical engineers here, you would be knowing that any equipment has a best optimal loading point on which the best efficiency is achieved. So if there are 10 equipment running, in this case 10 compressors running, the best optimal efficiency point of all the compressors will be varying as per their design, and in general it is it goes to around 70 to 80% in that case. So how you can have the most optimal sharing of load for various compressors for various equipment, that's what we were doing with this whole piece of smart optimization of these equipment, so that you have the best efficiency coming into picture. Now with this, you also had predictive analysis picture in terms of if there are 5 equipment running, what is the best time to run in terms of the time of the day as per the demand of the particular equipment. All these things were automatically controlled through IoT based, AI based devices. Third thing, and this is something which we were discussing in the previous sort of speaking part as well, that tracking the complete greenhouse gas emissions end to end, whether it is scope 1, 2 and 3. So complete tracking of GHG emissions, scope 1 emission, scope 2 emission and scope 3, so that you can identify areas where is the biggest guzzler of emission lying. You can target those hotspots, you can see where the emissions are coming from, especially with scope 3. So in scope 3, after we did the complete inventorization and tracking of the emission through the digital tool, we realized that purchase of goods and the whole freight aspect which was there for suppliers were the biggest hotspot in terms of scope 3 emissions. And that's where we kind of started then in terms of tracking and in terms of taking actions on the same lines as well. So again, another area, another intervention of digitization, of automation, where all the things were being tracked on a single platform in a real-time basis, so that we can identify opportunities to improve the same as well. And by the way, these are just some of the projects. Of course, there was a big aspect of renewables also coming into picture. So more than 50% of the electricity of the plant is coming from solar or green energy in this case as well. And this is the kind of impact that was achieved. So if you see in 4 years, and with that 2018 as the baseline and 2022, let's say in those 4 years, if I see the impact, the energy consumption per unit of production was reduced from 0.93 to 0.38, which was almost 59% reduction in energy consumption in that particular case. When it comes to water, it was a 57% reduction in water consumption, 61% reduction in GHG emissions, scope 1 and 2 emissions in this case, and 64% optimization of waste that was achieved in 4 years' time. So this is the kind of impact that came into picture when it comes to all these measures that we implemented, and digitization, automation was the backbone of this whole piece which was there. Now, I touched a bit more upon the whole efficiency and energy efficiency improvement aspect in this case. There's a reason for that, because although in the session we were talking about the importance of renewables and everything, which I completely agree with, that it is very important to have renewables into the picture, but there is an other side of energy landscape as well. And I think very well brought in by the last speaker, that when it comes to the whole value chain of solar, there is an angle of emission involved, there is an angle of the whole module manufacturing and everything involved. So with that context in mind, and maybe let me just put it to the audience, what do you think is the greenest source of energy? Anyone? Solar, wind, biomass? Would you like to say any wild guess anyone want to take? Hydrogen. Okay. Anyone? Nuclear. So, hydrogen. Okay. Hydroelectricity. So, a lot of times when I ask this question in a gathering, and this is exactly the response I generally get, that solar, wind, nuclear, hydroelectricity and all. My answer to you in this case is, the greenest form of energy is energy not getting generated at all. There cannot be anything greener and more decarbonized than energy not getting generated. And this is the reason I was focused upon the whole energy efficiency aspect. Because energy efficiency is nothing but the absence of energy use, and you cannot put something below zero in that case, right? So this is the reason, while solar, renewables, very important, but the way we always see, and this is the way we kind of worked on our factory as well, we always work with this approach of reduce, electrify and replace. So the first step is always become as efficient as possible and reduce your demand as much as possible. Then the second step, okay, if you're using any thermal processes in your factory, see if we can electrify them. Why electrify? Because electricity is the best vector for decarbonization. Once I can't convert coal into a green coal, right? Maybe I don't know. These days, everything has a green attached to it. In the beginning, there may be a green coal in the market somewhere, but I cannot convert fossil fuel into a decarbonized thing. But what I can do is, I can change the process in a way that fossil fuel is not used and I'm using electricity, so that I can decarbonize the electricity and use it from a renewable source of energy. So that's why reduce, electrify, and lastly, then whatever electricity or energy is coming to your place, make sure that it's coming from a renewable source of energy. So that's how we always kind of approach this area of decarbonization in our operations or in our facility in that particular case. I also want to touch base quickly upon the whole aspect of scope 3. So this is what we talked about, the whole scope 1 and 2 piece in this particular case. We also work a lot with our suppliers in this case, and if the slide comes, that would be great. So basically we are running a project, it's called the Zero Carbon Project, where we are working with our top 1,000 suppliers, and we have already taken this started in 2021, where our ambition was that we want to reduce 50% emissions from our top 1,000 suppliers by this year, by the end of 2025. As of 2024, we have already reduced the emissions by 40% in our top 1,000 suppliers inventory in this particular case. When we started with this project, the first thing that we realized is a lot of our suppliers are not aware about this whole aspect of sustainability and decarbonization. So the first thing was we did a lot of capacity building sessions, we did a lot of training exercises with them. We even gave them a digital platform so that they can understand, at least if not anything else, and they have, even if just the electricity bills, they can start putting those bills into the platform, and that will convert into a scope 1 and 2 emission inventorization profile for them. And it will also give them, the in-house, the tool that we used, it was also giving them this whole piece of how this whole inventorization or GHG footprint that you have, how it can be reduced step by step through an AI or ML based approach, in terms of giving them an idea of, if suppose you are consuming 1,000 tons of CO2 right now, how can you reach to 500 tons, 100 tons in a subsequent timeline of 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. So similarly, like this, we had kind of done this whole program. It would be great because I wanted to just show you one video of one of our suppliers who has been part of this whole program, and how they have, and they are mainly an MSME industry, and they have very effectively reduced their emissions in this particular case. If it comes, that would be great. If not, maybe as my colleague did, till the time this is coming, if you have any questions, any observations, I think I'll be happy to take that into consideration. Please. Can you take a mic? Yeah. The downstream emissions of scope. So in our case, the downstream emissions in scope 3 is basically the product use, the use of sold products. So the products that we are selling, we know what is the internal consumption of those products that is there in the market, and based on the volume that is being sold, and with certain factors and assumptions that you have, which are all credible and which are all verified by third parties, we estimate our scope 3 emissions in terms of use of sold products. So that is how. So when it comes to downstream, it's majorly what we are selling to our, let's say, clients and our customers. That's your scope 3 downstream emissions. When it comes to scope 3 upstream, that is where the suppliers come into picture. So in our case, so if on the downstream part, that's how we are measuring the use of sold products, emissions coming out of those products. And when it comes to scope 3 upstream, which is about what we are getting from our suppliers, there is a whole standard methodology which is in terms of supplier specific emissions that we are accounting for. So how much emissions they are consuming in their side, that is something that we have been kind of collating and collecting data with. So that is one piece of input that you get. In certain cases where the suppliers are not having those sort of information, then you have to stick to a more crude way of calculating emissions, which is a spend-based emission, spend-based factor of emissions. So it's a hybrid approach for scope 3 upstream supplier emission calculation. In certain cases, you take actual emissions into account. In certain cases, you have to take or consider the spend amount that you are working with in your suppliers in that case. And scope 3 downstream, as I mentioned, is about the sold of product, the use of sold products in that particular area.
Challenges while collecting all this.
Yeah, of course. So scope 3 upstream supplier data is definitely is not an easy task, and I'm sure everyone would agree with me on that part, that taking supplier data and then getting the data in the way that you want to have is not something easy. So that's where we have kind of, I would have shown that thing if this was working. We had given a digital platform to all our suppliers, so that if not anything else, even if they have the bills of their electricity use or the fuel that you're using, if they just enter that value, we can help them in converting that into the emissions that is coming out of those particular facilities. So that's how we have kind of managed it. But this is a process which is gradually improving, and we would want to cover it to more of the suppliers that we have in this particular case. Okay, so I think if it's not working, we can. Yeah. So. So let's close it then. I think. Okay, so I think let's skip the other parts. It's good that the laptops are not working, so that now we can kind of close this. Okay, thank you everyone. Happy to take any other questions later.
Yeah, thank you, Rohit. Then the next speaker, Ms. Madhya Riaz, a case study on ESG implementation at Automotive Axles in Mysore. So just a brief intro. Madhya is a passionate environment professional with over 3.5 years of experience in health, safety, and environment, manufacturing systems, and total product maintenance at Automotive Axles Mysuru. She plays a key role in coordinating with all the ESG stakeholders, a strong focus on driving progress towards net zero carbon goals and meeting the KPIs across the organization and ensure alignment. And Madhya has a bachelor's degree in environment science from JSS. Over to you, Madhya, your own.
Sir.
Can I have the slide changer? Okay. A very good afternoon to everyone. I'm Madhya Riaz from Automotive Axles, and this is a case study that I'll be presenting now. So it is basically what in Automotive Axles we are doing as per the ESG, like how is the technique that we have adopted for calculations or getting the data from the ESG. So Automotive Axle is a 100-year-old company, and we are established in 1981. We also have a strong customer base in both in all the vehicle manufacturing customers, and we have our products ranging from 7 metric ton to 55 metric ton, which is in axles and brakes. So we have developed a ESG model, that is the 6-pillar sustainability model, which is also aligning our Mission 28 India strategy. So this is our ESG tree, which shows what are the parameters that we have to consider in the ESG, the key initiatives and the benefits for our business through these initiatives. So coming to pillar A, which is decarbonization. So here we are focusing on CO2 emission reduction. So here we are showing only the key initiatives that we have taken for the CO2 emission reduction. So that is by using renewable energy, by converting, we have electrical furnaces, so we have converted the LPG heating to electrical heating, and then tree plantation. So these are the few glimpses. Okay, so in pillar B, that is towards water positive. So here the major initiative that we have taken is for fresh water consumption reduction. So here what we have done is we have constructed rainwater harvesting facility, which is 1200 KL capacity. We have also constructed a new rainwater harvesting facility of 1000 KL capacity. We also have recharging pits through which this rainwater, whatever is collected, gets recharged, and the groundwater level is checked through piezometers. Okay. The next thing that we are doing in freshwater consumption is the 3 R's that we use. So first what we have done is we have done the water mapping of where our fresh water is getting consumed. Then this is the rainwater harvesting facility that we have. And we also, in our industry, what we are doing is the 100% of the sewage water is being utilized for gardening as well as toilet flushing. We have also installed a dual metal filter for the rainwater harvesting pond, which is utilized for hand washing. And we also have a coolant recovery plant. So here what happens is the fresh coolant consumption is reduced, as well as the effluent generated is reduced. We are also going for the 20 KLD ZLD. Next, the pillar C talks about sustainability in supply chain. So here what we as suppliers are focusing are to eliminate wood packaging, then truck loading efficiency, how we can improve the truck loading efficiency, and also we have done, simplified the logistic routes. So here what we have done is, first all whatever the products we used to give to our customers, we used to send it through wood pallets. So now we have used returnable and reusable steel edges. So by this, 100% of domestic is being done, eliminated, and 80% of the export wood elimination has completed. Then coming to the next pillar, which is pillar D, which is digitalization. So here what we have done is, as previously Mr. Rohit, he spoke about Industry 4.0. So we are also focusing on Industry 4.0 in our industry. And we have one of our plant, which is axle assembly, which is completely IoT based. Next, we are also digitalizing in form of SAP. So all our invoices, PRs, PO, everything, it is being done into the SAP system. Next, coming to pillar E, which is, can I get the presentation please? Yeah. Which is societal connect. So here what we are focusing is on the CSR. So here we have categorized into three things. One is CSR in the healthcare facility. Second one, it is in infrastructure and skill development in the academic areas. And the third one is carbon sequestration. So there were few glimpses of the CSR activities that we have done. So as in the previous sessions, we had Mr. Kulkarni who was talking about lake rejuvenation. So this year we are focusing on the lake rejuvenation of Kurgali Lake. Next, coming to pillar F, we have corporate governance. So in this, So in corporate governance, what we have is, so in automotive axles, we have a human capital more than 2000 plus. So we focus on the employee well-being, their involvement in it. So we have rewards and recognitions. We have the employee involvement in our cultural activities, social activities. And similarly, we also involve the employee, children, as well as the families to get involved in this corporate governance. Yeah, so this is how we have framed the ESG platform in automotive axles, and this is how the data has been collected. Now recently we are also getting into the digital platform by the help of Gaviva team. Here Ravi sir is present. So we are working along with this team and we are going to do the digital platform for ESG. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Hello. Yeah. So due to the paucity of time, we'll just skip the Q&A and have during the breaks. Okay. Just what I'd like, just give the closing remarks. Thank you, Mr. Anand, Rakesh, Ravi, Rohit, and Madhya for a very extensive session on ESG, energy efficiency, sustainability, metrics, and the case studies. And thank you all of you for making this session a very interesting and exciting one. And thank you audience for this, patient listening.
We'll take one group photo, that is better.
Sorry. What the group photo ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಳ್ಳಿ.
We'll take one photo, that's better. Oh. All right. Oh. Well, I think it It is my honor to please come there.
Okay.
Okay. Group photo, please come. Yeah, I'm here.